Hey yo, my Planet Coaster friends, Channel5 Alive here, and welcome back to another Coaster Spotlight Contest Edition. Today we have yet another Frost versus Fire style creation, so stay tuned and let's check it out. Alright, welcome back everyone. Hope you're all doing great today. Let's get into it. FrostBurn, created by Blubber, and here they say, because fire and water were too soft against each other, their brothers have taken over. Frosty, the ice giant, and Crispy, the burning golem. Will Frosty take over the dead and warming burning wastelands, or will Crispy take over the cold and white winter wonderland? Take part in this legendary battle and help one win. Can you keep your head cool, or are you too hot-headed? I'll hope you find out and enjoy the battle. Ride preferences, daytime, and best for views on dueling elements is cinematic. Okay, we can do one in cinematic for sure. Let's go. And here we are. Loving this contrast here. This nice gradient of blue, the purple, the red there. That's great. Red castles on one side, Crispy and Frosty. FrostBurn, look at that sign. The basic shape gradients. Beautiful. I like the opposites too. The white on top, the black on bottom. Very contrasting. Super fun. Okay, I think we're gonna start things off with Frosty. It's getting frosty today. The last episode we started with fire, so switch it on up. So it is interesting seeing how everybody's, I mean, we've seen a lot of these Frost and Fire submissions so far. Everybody's taking a different approach. What is going to make this one stand out? Certainly, you've already explained it in your story. It's not just generic Fire. You did a little cartoony spin on things. Frosty the Golem and Fire the Giant or whatever. Pretty fun. Green across the board, good looking stats, not overly crazy on the G-forces, but it's getting there. And we'll start off in seat view, actually seat view looking forward, I think, and then we'll do the cinematic as requested. Holy crap, the on-ride perspective view, visitor view on the coaster is just freaking marvelous. I loved it. And what I mean by that, when you look at the park from a distance, it doesn't look as appealing. But when you look at it from the perspective that we're supposed to be viewing, it looks just breathtaking. And I didn't mean that like in a harsh way. It didn't look that appealing. I'll explain later. I'll explain when we zoom out and look at the details a little bit closer. But there's something that really stands out to me about this creation that I really love, and I can't wait to talk about it once we've written this one in cinematic, though. Okay, cinematic was pretty great. However, the point that I'm about to make makes so much more sense after you've come off the ride, seeing it from the proper perspective. So and also it didn't give us quite the same experience as we should have gotten in the dueling aspect, the viewer aspect, as we would have gotten from actually just riding the coaster. So I think the cinematic was absolutely lovely, but we definitely have to give this a proper ride like we did for the first one. I just had something come to mind that I didn't really talk about at the beginning. We have Fire and Fire vs. Ice back-to-back again. We had that in the first bracket. We also had the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles back-to-back in the third bracket, and there was something else. There's the Great Gods in the second bracket. So we're getting these like coasters that are exactly the same theme and styles back-to-back in each of the brackets by complete fluke, and I don't know how that's happened 4 times now. I have a feeling it's not going to happen for Masters and Legends because they will most likely stand apart and they're small brackets, but pretty hilarious. Anyways, the big point that I really wanted to make, and riding that from the perspective that we did, there's a lot of the good things to talk about here. Of all the submissions so far throughout the whole contest, especially the Fire and Ice, I think this one separates the versus the best. So we have, if we look at it, we kind of have 2 lands. We have the Fire land, we have the Ice land, but there is crossover separation between the two. So the Fire makes a crossover into the Ice land, but you've carved out this path like it's leaving fire in its wake and melting the snow everywhere that it goes, and it's its own personal experience at the same time of sharing the dueling aspects during the Ice land experience. Then when it crosses over into the Fire land, it just becomes more fire. So it's more heavily themed on its theme. So it's like well themed and it's personalized experience the whole way through, even when it's in Iceland, and it's just even better when it's in Fireland. And the same can be said with the Ice Coaster. It crosses over into the Firelands and it's freezing and leaving an ice trail everywhere it goes, even this icy peak. There were some amazing views on this coaster, and that's what I was trying to say earlier, and hopefully I didn't sound rude, but I said it didn't look as appealing from a distance, but that's to be said with a lot of creations, like almost all of them. You're like, like doesn't look that good. If you took a screenshot of it like this and that was your thumbnail, it wouldn't draw a lot of people in. But then, you know, from the perspective down here, all of a sudden it looks way more intriguing and interesting. And so there, a lot of the times when you look at a creation from a bird's eye view, it's not that great. It's very rare that you get like the whole package where it looks great from above and down below, and sometimes those creations just, you know, it's pretty tricky to do. The important part is this is how it's meant to be experienced, and is that where it looks best? Absolutely. So I'd go as far as to say this is probably one of the best creations in the entire contest for separating the versus aspects the entire way through. I mean, I think it's the only one that does it, to be honest. Maybe Prince of Persia, even, but then again, there's an argument to be said that like they share the same space. They're just different camera effects and stuff making them feel different. They're all going through the same temple. So I don't know, I'd have to really think about it, but I really do enjoy the fact that you've made each experience personalized to the element the entire way through. But what's even great about this is right out of the get-go, we come down, like we're dueling, we're competitive, and then it's like, see you later. But what's great is fire crosses over into the ice land and ice crosses over to the fire land. They're getting their own unique personal experience. And it would have been interesting if you had, like, if you didn't have this, for example. And I have to make a comparison with the last episode, which was Mortal Kombat Fire and Ice. There was a lot of the dueling was in the ice area, and then they kind of did separate and go into their own lands, but they went into each other's lands equally. So it was like fire was splitting off from ice, but it was just splitting off into the ice land. Meanwhile, ice did the same thing. And then they both split off into the fire lands. There was a little bit of like it was a shared experience. Really, there were two different elements, but they were shared experiences. Whereas this, it's like if the ice crossed over into the fire land and it was just exploring a fire experience, it would be a little bit of an oxymoron, wouldn't it? Because now you got like the ice going through the fire lands. You would think that, okay, make more sense to start things off with fire going through its own land and then it comes over to ice. And that's what happens. But it has its own unique icy experience the whole way in the fire land. So there's fire everywhere, even a giant fire golem, but it's an ice experience. So I love it. I love everything about it. The terrain was amazing, especially because of the crossover. The sculptures are super fun. Came at it with this kind of like fun cartoony thing. You're saying like Frosty the Golem and Bernie the Iceman, or sorry, I'm all mixed up now. This whole thing's got me crossed over. Anyways, you know what I'm trying to say. These two different characters, you went with it. That's this fun Blubber approach. I mean, it's Blubber's personality to kind of do this sort of stuff. But the moment we start riding these coasters, I start taking it a little bit more seriously as you are an expert builder wanting to be a master. And I see those masterful details everywhere throughout this creation. There's no slouching here. Everything is just superbly detailed the entire way through. The coasters were amazingly smooth. They had really amazing dueling interactions. They went off and did their own separate things, and they were completely personalized in the terms of versus aspect the entire way through. With that said, how can you deny the spirit of the contest is just oozing in this creation? Maybe some of the other creations were more artistically polished, or, you know, more of an eye candy, and they have more expert or master, even legendary details in them. But I think all of that exists here, and even more so in its own way. So while other people excelled in details, I still think the details are amazing here, but other people are just a slight bit better. But what Blubber has done here has really taken the spirit of the contest to heart the entire way through both experiences. So I think it makes up for the fact that he doesn't have a 200,000 part creation here, as we've seen from some of the other ones that were running below 30 FPS. And I think you don't need to do that much to say, hey, I'm competing in a contest and I'm following the rules and I'm bringing the spirit to heart. For me personally, one of my favorite creations in the entire contest for following the spirit. It's tough. The last one we saw, which was fire versus ice, was probably more detailed, more intense for fire, more intense for ice. Really cool coaster design as well. But I think this edges it out for all the reasons that I just gave. I personally feel that way. But I don't know. At the end of the day, it's up to you guys. Did I make a good enough sales pitch? Did it speak for itself? Do I need to make a sales pitch because it speaks for itself? Do you agree with me? I don't know. It's up to you. You get to vote. I have my vote. Blubber's definitely probably going to get a vote from me, but it is a tough bracket. There's 8 people, and I have to choose 3. Well, technically, I think we're doing 5, because there is a top 5, and we need the scores no matter what. At the end of the day, there's only 3 winners. So it makes it very hard, because do I value spirit more than I do details? You also have to put value on coaster experience. How smooth was the coaster? How much dueling elements there were? He nailed it. He absolutely nailed it. They weren't dueling the whole way through, but they had their own experiences. But when they did duel, they did it some of the best. So lots of things to consider and think about, you guys, when you go to make your votes. don't overlook Blubber in this one, because I personally feel he's done a lot of things right here. I really enjoyed it. That's all I have to say. Those are my final thoughts. Blubber, amazing work. Keep doing what you're doing. You're representing the experts and showing masterful ideas. Really well done. All right, ladies and gentlemen, leave your comments down below for Blubber. What did you think? And that's going to do it for me in today's episode. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next submission. Bye now.